Welcome to the Two Blokes Chatting radio show on 94.7 The Pulse. Music, interviews, news, and, well, Two Blokes Chatting. Now, here are the two blokes.
I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the deserts bare, man. I've breathed the mountain air, man. I've travelled, I've had my share, man. I've been everywhere. Been to Tullamore, Seymour, Lismore, Mooloolaba, Nambour, Rochester, Kilmore, Mooloolaba, Birdsville, Emmaville, Wallaville, Connemara, Connemara, Strathround, Proserpine, Alladala, Darwin, Gingin, Nilliquin, Muckilla, Wallumbilla, Bougainville, Cumberland, Ramakilla. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. Across the deserts bare,
time
man.
for Regional Roundup, and I'm really excited about our Regional Roundup person today.
You are.
Not because the other ones aren't exciting, but I reckon over the journey, I've done a bit of community radio, and I've probably spent more time sharing the microphone with this bloke than anybody else. Paul Hooper. Good morning, Hoops.
Good morning, Neil. Good morning, Rob. Yes, Neil. Commentary boxes can be unforgiving for a smell perspective. I know you well.
Yes, I'll never forget our first time together at Cardinia Park as we threw to the first bounce, and Paul had a dodgy curry, I suspect, early doors, and we'll leave it at that. Hey, welcome to Regional Roundup. It's a thrill to have you on my radio program, our radio program, any time of the day, but particularly in the context of Regional Roundup. You're a bit unusual in the context of not actually living there yet. Normally we have people who've lived there for a while, but you've spent more time in Echuca than anybody I know, and looking to move there at some stage, I suspect.
Absolutely, Neil. Yeah, look, about 3 years ago I bought a property there, a unit which is a couple of minutes from town, a couple of minutes from the river, with a view to transitioning there, which I've been doing. So I've been able to work a little bit up there and spend a lot of time up there, and it's a place that I've spent a lot of time at Echuca Moama over the last 30 years. And
they let you buy property. That's the amazing thing.
Well, I was looking for a tree change for when I retire. So I'm mid-50s, and I'm looking to retire by 60, so I'm looking for a place where I can go, still do a little bit of work, and just enjoy the brilliant weather up there.
Water seems to draw people, Neil. Some are drawn to the ocean, others to rivers or lakes. Have you spent enough time in both, or have you always been more of a river man?
Look, I'll be honest, I had a caravan at Phillip Island for some time, and I loved it there. The attraction to Echuca was because it's got everything there, and it's not one road in or out. But from a river perspective, I love the Murray, and it's a beautiful place, even if you just went and had a picnic on the banks and watched people floating up and down, the beautiful paddle steamers. Unfortunately, my partner, I'm losing the battle on getting a boat just yet, but I'll win that one.
Yes, well, we've got a mate, Digi, who we spoke to earlier, who's our fishing correspondent. We'll put you in touch. He might know someone who knows someone. The thing that my last visit to Echuca was probably a couple of years ago. I took my other radio program on the road, and I did a breakfast program up there. It was in the really sort of late parts of 2020. COVID had hit pretty hard. A couple of pubs were open, but there were places that looked like they were doing it tough. What's going on in Echuca these days? Have they started bouncing back with the COVID hopefully getting towards the end?
I think it's the beginning of, thriving in Echuca. It's the beginning of that real push. A lot of people have moved to regional areas, as you're more than aware, because they've realised that they can work from home. So Echuca's a place that people have got to, so there is more business. Look, a few of the shops were empty during COVID. I was lucky enough as a resident there as well, and my Vic Roads licence said that I was a resident there. I was able to still go there, and I was working from there as well. So I think that with country towns, people have thought, well, you know what, I'm having a sea change, I'm having a tree change, and why not the beautiful border town of Echuca Moama?
We add the triumvirate to that by sea change, tree change, or in fact G change, which is what we do down here in G Town, of course.
Oh.
Well, of course, down in Geelong. I mean, Geelong's just a big country town as well, and a beautiful place. Bellarine Peninsula is a fantastic place. It's busy though, Geelong, a very busy place, and Echuca can be, but I look at it in the way there's always things to do in Echuca. There's 11 pubs, service club, bowling club, Rich River Golf Club. They have music festivals. There's the Southern 80 boat race. They've got a race course, 2 footy clubs. It's a great place to be.
And I guess the other thing that it's got going for it that I know a lot of folk that have spent time in Echuca have got going for it is it's only 2.5 hours or something to Melbourne, so it's the closest point on the Murray to Melbourne, isn't it?
It is, and it's door to door from where I am. It's 2.5 hours, in sort of eastern suburbs. But it's not a hard drive. It's not hilly. It's not windy. It's flat, and it's very easy to get to.
I think it's only 3 from Geelong too, isn't it now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So really quite close. You could almost do a day trip to a place like that, and on a nice pleasant day, perhaps catch up with a friend or two. And as you said, Hoops, is just a picnic basket on the banks of the river is a really pleasant afternoon.
Oh, it really is. And, there's the ye olde little township there where they've got a few of the old-style businesses. There's wineries. There's all sorts of things you can do. You can go on. There's some beautiful paddle steamers. I mean, people forget what an industry that was. It's a bygone industry now, of course, but what an industry that was up and down the Murray delivering goods. And you go on one of these beautiful old paddle steamers. They're over 100 years old. Go for a luncheon on there, or just go for a tour.
Oh, Rob doesn't forget it. He actually worked on a paddle steamer during his uni breaks.
Oh, really? Good on you, Rob. Yeah, I mean, that would have been a great experience.
Because he's 130, is Rob.
He looks well for his age.
He does, doesn't he? He looks remarkable.
Now, Hoops, that's a very good segue to my next question. You talked about being jammed inside a commentary box with this gentleman across the table from me, but the dad jokes, you seem to work them pretty well yourself. Did you two just have a competition each Saturday or Sunday afternoon while you're calling the footy? Because it's bloody hard work.
Rob, I'm going to tell you now, nobody tells a dad joke better / or worse than Neil Butler, and he's got them on tap for every situation. As you know, with football commentary, and Neil and I called a lot of games together, probably more than 100. We totally enjoyed calling together, and I wouldn't say it was a competition. Neil's dad jokes are very corny. I look for players' names that we could incorporate into our commentary. We've called in some great places, community football grounds across the state. We had a great time too, but dad jokes are Neil.
Thank you very much. And, of course, I think the other thing, and I don't wish to do this to embarrass you, but you have been an absolute stalwart of community radio. I think you mentioned the other day 16 years on the committee of a radio station in Box Hill, 94.1 FM 3WBC. They gave me a go, they gave you a go, and so therefore they've got a lot to answer for. But your commitment to community is something that I just think is fantastic, and obviously your involvement at the Box Hill Footy Club as well. It's just been awesome to be able to spend that time and to be able to call you a mate.
Oh, we're good mates, and the great thing is about what we did together. I mean, I'm coming back this year for another year, but I think the thing about community footy is that at that level you do see, as you did when you're calling at Geelong, you see AFL players in there with the new and up and coming players that are coming through the system. It's an exciting brand of footy. It's a good brand of footy. It's professional, and it's great to be part of community radio, which we've always loved, and you were part of it. And don't talk yourself down too much. I mean, you're our training coordinator. You spent a lot of time there training others and doing your programs as well. And, we had a great time. And I mean, the committee was just something I felt I could do and could help with. And it was a lot of fun.
Thanks for mentioning the training, because our training bloke has just left the station. So I'm going to have a phone call at 11:05.
Yeah,
thanks very much.
No worries.
Hoops, on a semi-serious note, I haven't called a lot of that footy, but I've certainly watched a lot of second 18 or VFA footy over the journey. Did you, like me, get a real buzz out of calling a young person a very memorable game, and then might be a year, 2 years later, their names in lights, and you remember those early days of their development?
Oh, that's the beauty of it. I mean, we called Buddy Franklin when he played a few games at Box Hill, and players that have progressed through Hawthorn that have been really good Hawthorn players, like Isaac Smith now at Geelong. I mean, he got recruited from the Ballarat Footy League to Box Hill and then through the system. Luke Brewster's another one, Paul Puopolo. There's been so many. And then they've dropped back and played a few games as well, and that happens at every aligned club. But at Box Hill, Neil and I were lucky to see some of these guys here in their infancy as footballers and watch them go on to be true champions of the game.
It's funny you say Isaac Smith, because I remember him playing for North Ballarat in a game at Geelong one day, and he looked about 12 years old. It was one of the handful of first games that he played, and I remember thinking, geez, I'd love to see this bloke running up and down the wing at Cardinia Park. And then he went to the Wheeze and Poos, and I was sick. But we finally got him. That's a 10 or 15 year turnaround story. So yeah, I can remember that day vividly.
Yeah, he's a good player, Isaac, and he's a favourite amongst the crowd. I think a lot of the Hawthorn people and Box Hill people were disappointed to see him go. But I mean, this is footy these days. That's a professional game, and they do move on.
Well, Hoops, we are coming close to the end of our program, and we just want to take a moment to say thank you for joining us. Rob's picking himself up. He's also hosting the next program, so he moves into the other studio now, so I have to fill for the next 3 minutes. But always great to have a chat to you on the wireless, and appreciate everything you've done for my, I'll use the term loosely, radio career, and look forward to catching up for a cold drink on a warm afternoon in the beautiful town of Echuca fairly soon.
Yeah, I look forward to that, Neil. Thanks for including me today. And for anyone who'd like to get up to Echuca moment for a weekend, there's lots of accommodation up there, lots of festivals, music and otherwise, and things to do up there. So spend a weekend up there, you'll enjoy it. And the beauty, as we spoke about the other day, or yesterday, Neil, was even in winter, you know, it might be 14 degrees, but it's sunny every day up there, God's country.
Absolutely. It's almost as nice as being in Geelong. Talk to you soon.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Hoops. There he is, Paul Hooper